I'm Deishonda Greenwood, and I am a licensed clinical social worker. I have a private practice, but also in different organizations. I do a lot of mental health care. But most importantly, I am part of the mental health ministry within my church, which I've started along with my pastor, Pastor Sharon Walter. Who our ministry is called Rich Agape Mental Health Wellness Ministry. So we founded it late early this year, and we just decided to look at it from a spiritual component while we're incorporating practical skills. So we're excited about it, and we usually have monthly mental health events at our ministry. And next year we have a schedule of just different events that we're going to have taking place. So we're excited about that. We have to have boundaries. Boundaries, I'm very strong on boundaries. I'm very big on boundaries, and even boundaries in ministry. I think sometimes because we are people of God and we are Christ followers, we feel as though we don't have to have a boundary with other people. And of course, the Holy Spirit moves at times where, we forget about time, we forget about location, but it's also important when you're running ministry. And I think that's a conversation I think a lot of people don't want to talk about. Like, I'm burnt out, I'm tired. So we're working and then we're still trying to do the work of God, but we also don't want to even say like, hey, I'm burnt out, I'm tired. We're answering calls for people. We want to make sure that we're following the unction of the Holy Spirit, but at times we're just like, God. But then you get me reminded because we're here to serve. So, and it's something I think a lot of us don't talk about. And, so that's why I said, well, you know what, you got to have mental health care in ministry as well. We're human. As long as we are in this flesh, we're going to have fleshly things that's going to happen to us. And that's why I think it's important to just also acknowledge it. But I'm really strong on boundaries in a professional setting and even in a ministry. It's the same thing, in my opinion, because we don't want to burn out. You're setting up those boundaries, you are putting yourself first. You're putting yourself first. And we even have to have boundaries, even going back to having our time with the fellowship with God by ourselves. So it's really, and I find that when I set aside that time and I put him first in the beginning of my day, it helps me to also prioritize my day a lot better. And it helps me to know, like, okay, well, you won't put on me no more than I can bear. So throughout that day, I know what I can bear and I know what I can't bear. And I know who I can bear and I know who I can't bear for the day. And so it is a battle, especially like you said, when people look to you, not just being a therapist, just being Black women. So I'm big on debunking the myth that we are strong. I am not strong. I will let you know now. I'm overwhelmed today, and I had a situation one time I was at church, a lady walked up to me and I said, how you feeling? She said, I better say that I'm blessed and highly favored. I said, well, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm tired, but I'm here and I'm for it. And she looked at me like, how dare you say that you're tired and I said, I'm blessed and I'm tired. So I was being honest, and I believe in just being honest about my feelings. So we can't expect other people to be honest about their feelings, but we're not honest. Hey, I'm feeling, my go-to person is always my husband. I'll text him. I'll say, I'm feeling real anxious today. And he's like, well, why? Like, what's triggering you? Like, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's, so I'm really in tune to myself. Like if I'm noticing headaches, if I'm noticing that I'm not getting any sleep, because I would spend and going back to ministry, I would spend hours sometimes up at night, like putting together events. And even though I'm excited to do it, I didn't realize I was like tired. She's also practical. So you're putting together calendars, you're dealing with people because people are human. We don't want to say that the people we in Christ we love are human too. And they can get on your nerves. So, putting together calendars, putting together events because you want to make sure it looks good. You want to make sure your pastor approves it. You want to make sure you're representing the ministry as a whole. And then you also want to make sure you're protecting your witness outside of the ministry. I grew up in a Christian household, so it was always that, oh, go sit down. So what? Like, ain't nothing wrong with you. You better pray about it. So you're saying to me that you don't believe that God is going to do this. And no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. But I do believe that God gave me spiritual gifts to work with his people on a practical level, but also a spiritual level, because everyone, you got to meet people where they are. And you can't always put religion on some people. And sometimes people don't even people who I meet atheists. I meet people all the time who don't even believe in God, believe in anything, and but they don't understand how I'm like I'm using spiritual tools on you, but you just don't know about it. But I'm putting it in a practical way. So, for example, one of the biggest diagnoses in America is, in the United States, is anxiety. And so we'll say, hey, well, I'm saved, but I'm still anxious. So what do I do about that? And I think that's why we started wellness ministry, because I felt like it bridged the gap. Like I didn't know too many people who honestly were kind of doing what I was doing locally, bridging the gap of the spiritual component, but also with the practical component. So we would do things like talk about suicide prevention. Now, I get a lot of Christians that had suicidal thoughts, but they wouldn't tell anybody because of the spiritual component. So a lot of times we're suffering in silence. Like we're suffering with domestic violence, because remember, you're supposed to stay with your husband. You're supposed to stay with your wife. So we're suffering in domestic violence because we don't want the people to judge us. We don't want people to talk about us. And then let's behold, you leave your husband, and that's the ultimate no. So we're suffering through adultery. Because we're supposed to stay in our marriages, because we what God put together, let no man take apart. So those are the things that people are not talking about, and we have to really look at the symptoms of how it's really affecting us. I did something about a year ago. It was the effects of infidelity on the mental health, and all the effects of the physical things and emotional things that help with infidelity. But also, what about when you're saved? So what am I supposed to do? I'm saved. I'm not supposed to pray for him. I'm supposed to stay with him. I'm supposed to intercede for him. And those are the reasons sometimes we just shy away. We don't talk about it. It impacts our mental health in our ministry. So it's so many things that I think we're getting better as a culture, as far as mental health and ministry. And like you said, some like we talked about, TD Jakes has a ministry now on counseling and wellness. I don't think that happened years ago. Like years ago, way maybe back in the 50s and 60s, they didn't do that because you were supposed to just pray about it. Able to know, going to God as being your almighty counselor. What do you say we should do? How do you say we should handle this? And a lot of times we're not going to God to make those decisions, and so he said we're supposed to renew our mind every day. We don't transform this world. So every day we need to be really focusing on what his word says about the things of our lives and what we're supposed to do. So like I said, he's given us the tools, he's given us the practical tools, and he also put in God ordained people in our lives. But but he also says we're strayed away by our own evil desires. So, but again, okay, well, I was told we're shacking up. It's better to marry than to burn. And then we fall into silence, because in my household, in my family upbringing, it was just more, we didn't talk about it. We didn't talk about it. So now we are really carrying all of these generational cycles and curses, even in the church, that we still need deliverance from. And that's one of the things we do like to focus on, is deliverance. Child, whoever delivered from anything that has plagued their life, from their forefathers. So we do like to focus on deliverance, education, resources, community engagement, to let others know, like, it's okay. We're not going to talk about you. And that's another thing we worry about, and that's why, again, the therapy sent me is so confidential, because, I have to follow those guidelines. But even in ministry, even being women, we should be able to be like, hey, I'm here for you. Let's talk. I want to love on you. Is that you focus on women, and and a safe space for us to be able to open up and talk about those challenging things of the world. And then especially being people of color. Y'all know I love my people of color. I love everybody, but women, we just have, women of color just have more things that have just been thrown at us. We are resilient. I do believe that, but I do, like I said, I debunk that myth. Like, hey, we just like any other ethnicity. We believe like you believe, strong faith base. Our culture does have that strong faith base, and being able to just be women that could come together and lift each other up and encourage each other, it's just awesome. And what I do love about what I'm trying to do with mental wellness, it's not just for women, it's for men too. Yeah. Well, my husband, he knows nothing about mental health, like nothing about mental health, nothing. So now he's like, man, like, I see, I hear him on the phone. Yeah, bro, you sound like you got trauma. And I'm just like, but I will say I am so happy that men, as over the years as I've been in practice, men are coming. And sometimes I do have a little favoritism. If I see a man coming, I'm like, I'll take him because it's rare. And when we get black men who are really open and telling me their feelings and really talking about it, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. Today I always think about what can man do to me? Okay. All right, you talk about me. Yeah, you're gonna talk about me because I'm going through something. I mean, I'd rather open up and say it than to us to look around and we see that they hurt their children. They look around, like the incident a couple of months ago with a guy, he killed his children. Like he was suffering mentally. It's a mental and it's spiritual. We know, we know that was demons running through him, but also mentally, I always think about, was it seen? I see there were reports that were made. What did we do as a community? And it appears that she was reaching out, but people are really suffering in silence, and then bam, something traumatic happened. So my goal is always prevention, and it's also education. And so that's why I'm like, you know what? What's your mental health? We have to have some, and a lot of times we don't even know how to identify what a mental health is. So I always ask people, what is your mental health? Like, what is the mental health for you? Is it going to work? Is it cooking? Is it sleeping? Is it going to spending time with your family? Have some type of mental wellness, because people are really, really suffering, and we mask so much. We mask. Oh, we are queens and kings of masking. Well, I'm guilty too. I used to, as I come into myself, I had to come into myself first. I had to start to get to know myself. And I would mask a lot, but like, oh, everything's going good. But now they laugh, but they be like, I'm like, I ain't feeling it today. Okay. My feelings, because the truth shall set you free. And I don't want to be walking around with all those burdens. I don't want to be burdened down with things that I should have gave over to God a long time ago. The goal is for people to really just, understand that God is there, the Holy Spirit is there. And when we're not incorporating him into our lives, our life is going to stay in havoc. I want people to know that, and a lot of people don't know, if no matter what insurance provider you have, Medicaid, Medicare, commercial, there is mental health benefits under there. So a lot of people don't know, like, you can use your insurance for mental health benefits. Of course, private insurance, commercial, you have a copay, but there are clinics that offer sliding scale. Right now, we're still putting together, but we have a group of, I'd say our ministry is blessed with, we have like fully licensed professionals, and they can reach out to me, and I can link them with someone, and we can offer them a few free sessions, and just be able to support them in any crisis. And also, people can call 988. 988 is nationwide. It's free. It's a source, but definitely your insurance plan. You can talk to your primary care doctor, and they'll send referrals out. So there is support there. They can reach. They could. Anything. Like I said, I'll provide you with the information. So if anyone that's in need, like I said, we can contact it through Forever Care. That's my private practice, but also through Richard Agape Wellness Ministry. They can contact us through there. And we do have a Facebook that's Richard Agape Wellness Ministry, and it's an open page, and they can message us and do whatever. But anything we can do to support. Like, I love to sit and just like curl my wigs, like little stuff. I love to play with my hair. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you, tell you I go to the gym, because I don't. I like to, I like to, I do like to read. I'm a reader, so it's just fine. It's just like you, and that goes back to knowing what you do and knowing what you like. So I know I like finding hobbies that I enjoy. That is, make sure it's something that's not what you do on a regular basis. So of course, going to the gym. Praying. And if you don't know, I always tell people, seek God and ask him to give you hobbies and skills that you enjoy. Of course, I'm going to always say, reach out to a trusted therapist, or reach out to a trusted friend, someone that you can really talk about things with. There are things that are free: drawing, crafting. There are so many things to do for self-care, taking a nice relaxing bath, and things do not have to account to spending money, because I'm not going to spend no money on self-care. I'm not to a degree. You should also have things that are free as far as self-care. You should have things that are free, And then it's okay to have things that you may pay for, but we want to have something that's immediate, that you have easy access to, in your house or just sitting outside. One of the best things in life are free. Then a lot of times we another thing I definitely suggest for a lot of people, take your mind and take your fingers off of like electronics, your phone. That's why I encourage people to read too, because it helps stimulate your mind. Like I said, painting, that really helps improve your focus. Painting, drawing, crossword puzzles. If you notice, a lot of things that the elderly do, crocheting, things that actually make, that activate other sensorineural things in your head. Crocheting, drawing, writing things. But I definitely encourage people to get off of devices, because these devices are really bring on like problems with our eyes, our ears. And it does say that even on websites before you go to sleep, they say you're supposed to take that's what the experts say, get off your devices at least an hour before you go to sleep. So start winding down without a device, and I'm guilty. I used to go to sleep to sit on my phone, and I'm like, till I fall asleep. And so I start putting my phone on wind down time. So it winds down and goes on do not disturb. And again, I keep my boundaries. I might be on the phone and I might see a message come through and I might not respond to it, because I'm like, well, I'll respond to it tomorrow. Because remember, if you respond to that message at 9, 10 o'clock, it crosses your boundary, and those people are going to think that you're going to expect you to respond at any time. Let people know what your boundaries are. Most people know what my boundaries are. They were like, we know Deishonda's not doing no appointments after 4 o'clock. Not doing any appointments after 4 o'clock. Don't even call me. It has to be a crisis. TV. So if I sit and watch TV, like that's big. That's big. Like the school, when I tell y'all I rested the whole day, because having your kids, I don't care what people say. People can talk all that stuff. When kids get on your nerves. So when they was off to school, me and my husband just, but also normalize like it's not a good day. But if it's getting to a point where it's causing impairments in you, it's okay to reach for support. My friends are like, even just my family. My friends are people like family, and I drop my kids off by my friends. I drop my kids off by my friends more than I drop them off by my family. It's definitely needed, and I'm really big on that, because like I said, I've quit jobs because it wasn't good for my wellness or my mental health. And I had also I had recently really withdrew a little bit from ministry because I was getting burnt. I was tired and want to do a lot of stuff. I just was like, God, I'm tired. I'm going hard in the paint, putting together events. And so it was like I took it like a hiatus. So that's why I'm taking this time to really deepen my study, really talk to God and let him talk to me to revamp what he wants me to do for the next year. So, and it's okay to do that too. It's okay to just say, hey, I'm tired, I'm burnt out right now. I put a lot of energy. So it's time for me to kind of just go back into prayer and to try to decide what you want me to do moving forward for your kingdom. So I'm excited. And then you're like, well, God, what you want me to tell them? Because what you want me to tell. I'm just like, especially being, you can't, cross the roles, can't, incorporate spirituality. But I said, God, these people need deliverance, and it's only going to come through you. So I had to kind of make sure I'm stepping into a different realm where we're doing even though we're doing what he wants us to do, but really giving people the real of what he wants us to do, his guidance. So.